So Parsha Tisa, thank you, Dov, for setting that up. And page 484. Okay, so what's being discussed over here is actually... Hi, Sunny, how are you? Okay.
It's not so sunny outside, but it's sunny inside.
Yeah, as long as we have Sunny here, we're doing okay. How are you, Sunny?
Good. How are you?
Good to see you.
On the right page.
Good. Okay, so our Parsha starts off discussing something that we will be doing tomorrow evening. Okay, so you're thinking, oh, Megillah reading. The Torah can't possibly be discussing the Megillah reading, and that's correct. The Parsha does not discuss the Megillah reading. But if you look at Pasuk Yud Gimel, verse 13. Take that for us, please. Ora, בעברית, זה יתנו. Good. Okay, and in English, please. 13, this.
I'll do it.
Take it, taking Lana?
This shall they give. God showed Moses a coin of fire.
No, everyone who passes, I think.
And said to him, which one?
Wait, 13.
Oh, 13.
Here.
Oh, hold on 1 second.
Line 13.
Here. This shall they give, everyone who passes through the census, a half shekel of the sacred shekel. The shekel is 20 gerahs, half a shekel as a portion to Hashem.
So everyone had to give the machatzit hashekel. So there were 3 different donations of silver, of trumot that were given. One was the machatzit hashekel, the half shekel that would be used for the sockets. The sockets were the base where the upright krashim, the upright beams of the Mishkan were placed. That everyone had to give half a shekel. Good morning, how are you? Another half shekel had to be given every year in order to be used for the running of the Beit HaMikdash, of the temple. And also shekel was silver was given. Everyone gave as much as they wanted or did not, right? They gave or did not give as much as they wanted for the building of the Mishkan. So when it came to all the donations of the Mishkan, it was all whatever a person decided to give, that's what they gave. Except everyone had to give a half shekel for the sockets, for the adanim. So I discussed this on Shabbat a few weeks ago, some different ideas why the sockets are different. And the idea that I proposed was the sockets were the very, very foundation of the building of this Mishkan. And everyone has to have a share in that, and everyone needs to realize that they must have a share in that, and everyone has to realize that everyone else also has and must have a share in that. Good morning. How are you? Okay, so the idea being that when it comes to building our nation, there are no extras. Right? Everyone is needed. Everyone plays an essential role. And if one person is missing, then it's missing. Everyone has to give. Right? The other things, that was more discretionary. Also, everyone had to give for the upkeep of the Beit HaMikdash. How much did everyone have to give? A machatzit hashekel. Half of a shekel. Why half of a shekel? Right? Every shampoo or body wash, what does it say? It says lather, rinse, repeat. right? That way they double, right? You use twice as much. That way they double their revenue, right? So it's saying everyone's got to give a certain amount. Why should everyone give a machatzit? Let everyone give a whole shekel. Let them give 5 shekel, 100 shekel. Why specifically a machatzit? Why specifically half of a shekel? What does that teach us?
That we're part of something.
Good. We are part of something. We are part of a whole. Right? And like we said before by the sockets, we are an integral part of a whole. But we're not all. We're not all. And we need to look around and say others need us at the same time that we recognize that we need others. Others need us and we need others. We are Am Yisrael. Am, Ayin Mem, also spells Im, with, right? An Am is an Im. Not an Aleph Mem, if, but an Ayin Mem, with, right? And we recognize that I am incomplete without others, right? That's what being an Am is. That's what being a nation is.
The half shekels like magnets, they're drawn toward each other.
Yeah,
It's kind of like
yeah,
that.
yeah. Now, everyone must give the machatzit hashekel. Everyone had to give the machatzit hashekel, the half shekel, every year for the Beit HaMikdash. And we too, one of our pre-Purim mitzvot, there are 4 mitzvot of Purim. One of them is hearing the Megillah, and pretty soon we're going to move over to Megillat Esther and see some things over there. But it's hearing the Megillah. It is sending Mishloach Manot, about 700 of them sitting behind me right now as we speak, right? Sending Mishloach Manot, which is actually redundant, right? Sending Mishloach, right? Mishloach Manot means, so it's sending portions. Someone said that the silliest name in sports is the Los Angeles Angels, right? Which actually translates to the Angels, right? The Los Angeles Angels is the Angels. So sending Mishloach Manot is almost like the Los Angeles Angels, sending portions. But we call Mishloach Manot. The mitzvah is Mishloach Manot. Ish l're'ehu. Ish is a single person, applies to both men and women. Manot, which is plural. So you must send 2 food items to at least one person to fulfill that mitzvah. And ideally, you send it through a messenger. Because mishloach, right? You go to the Makol in Israel, you ask for a mishloach, that's a delivery. Right? So you need a mishloach that someone delivers it. Why? Because the more people that there are involved, the greater the camaraderie, the greater the unity. I give you a gift, you appreciate it, it comes from me. Right? So I send the gift with someone to give to you, you appreciate the sender, the deliverer, and you appreciate the sender. So the 4 mitzvot, it's Megillah reading, it's Mishloach Manot, it is Matanot Le'evyonim, which is giving charity to the poor, giving gifts. There it's Matanot, plural. Le'evyonim, gifts to the poors, plural. So there you need to give 1 gift to one person and another gift to another person. And we have, I distribute on Purim to those who are in need. So a person, we'll have baskets out tomorrow night by the Megillah reading for people to put in, or a person wants to give beforehand, right? I distribute that. Makes it a little bit easier. And then the Su'udah. And then the meal on Purim.
Rabbi,
Now,
can I just ask, I'm sorry,
yes.
just a little clarification. So 2 different types of food? Or could it be just two, like at least two momentation? Like
Yes, right. It could be right. There is a very prevalent misconception that it needs to be two different brachot, right? Two different blessings, and that's not true. The Shulchan Aruch speaks about two pieces. I'm sorry.
For two different brachot for what?
For mishloach manot, two different foods that require different brachot. So it need to be cake, mezonot, and an apple, which is ha'etz, something like that. And that's not true, because the Shulchan Aruch speaks about two portions of meat, right? And meat, right, all meat will have the same bracha, but it should be two items, okay? Right?
So same, but do you say
So can
that
it be two cookies?
prioritize?
Right?
Yeah.
So it should be, I think, two somewhat different items.
Not poppy seed and chocolate.
Right, right.
That's not different enough.
Right. You know, a cake and a drink, or a cake and a fruit, or two different types of cakes. Right? You know, I don't know if poppy seed and chocolate, right? Would that be
It's
considered?
different than-
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
so that's
now-
a loose
Yes.
requirement.
Yes.
I
Now,
get
in
it.
addition to those mitzvot of Purim, before Purim, we have what's called the Zecher L'Machatzit HaShekel. We have the remembrance of the half shekel. And again, tomorrow night we'll have set up over here a basket with a
Can you say
machatzit.
that again? Zecher?
Zecher, to remember the half shekel. All right, so we're going to have a basket with different half dollar, half coins here, right? And a person will give that. It's ours already, so a person will put in one, or let's say, we do three. You normally take three, because as we said over here, there are three different trumot. So as a remembrance of that, we pick up three, right? You put in any $1.50 or more into the basket, and that way you've acquired that $1.50, and then you, right, give that back in, and that is our zecher, our remembrance of the machatzit hashekel, of the half shekel. I always like to point out the Vilna Gaon, the Hagaon me Vilna. Right, when I was speaking by the Sfardim, Dov, it's distracting. Okay, when I was speaking by the Sfardim on Shabbat. So when I refer to the Vilna Gaon, they said, no, Hagaon me Vilna. Right? That's the proper Hebrew way of saying it. So he points out very beautifully, if you look in the Hebrew, Dov, it's distracting. Okay? I understand, but it's distracting. If you look in the Hebrew, go down 4 lines and count to the 4th word, right? That's where we have the word machatzit. Right? In the Hebrew, down 4 lines, count the 4th word. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. The 4th word is machatzit, which means the half shekel. And the Vilna Gaon points out, look at the letters, Mem, Chet, Tzadi, Yud, Taf. So there's a pasuk, there's a verse in Mishlei, I believe, which says, Tzedakah tatzil mimavet. Right? Giving tzedakah, right? I hate to call it charity, because that's such a poor translation. Charity means like, I'm the all-powerful one, and this poor charity case, right? But it's actually, tzedakah comes from the root tzedek, justice, that God gave me more than I need in order that I will share it with others. So tzedakah is sharing with others. So that saves a person mimavet, from death. That is a life-saving procedure. So the Gaon Vilna points out the middle letter in the word machatzit is the tzadi, which represents tzedakah. The letters closest to it are chet and yud, which is chai. The letters furthest from it are mem and taf, which chai is live, and mem taf, mate, is dead. Right? So the machatzit hashekel, that is what reverberates with life and pushes away that mate, that death. And certainly on an individual level and for the nation, right? When we recognize, as we said before, that we are this machatzit, that we are dependent on one another, we need one another. The Gemara says that more than the rich person does for the poor person, the poor person does even more for the rich person. Okay? So the rich person gives the poor person some money. Thank you very much. Right? The poor person gives the rich person eternity for that mitzvah, gives the rich person a sense of purpose, a sense of sharing. Right? So that is the idea of the machatzit that we have in this week's Parsha, which also we will have tomorrow night. Okay, let's jump up ahead a little bit. And in this week's Parsha, we have the Chet HaEgel. We have that sin of the golden calf, which is it's an astounding episode, and one which led to the smashing of those luchot, and then another about 80 days later, I believe it comes out, with receiving the second luchot, the second tablets. And I like to take away personally a number of things from the Chet HaEgel. Very often a person feels, if only I would have lived in that time. If only I would see a miracle. If only God would give me a sign. If only. The famous story, someone came to me from the Heritage House that was started by Rav Meir Schuster, who was a rabbi in Israel who was legendary. And he used to go to the Kotel, and he used to approach people, mostly teenagers, young adults who were older teenagers, 20s, 30s, who were traveling through Israel backpacking, right? And who didn't have much exposure, experiences with Judaism. And actually, they say he was an incredibly introverted person, but he overcame that in order to reach out. And he set up probably tens of thousands of young men and women to go to a Friday night Shabbat meal at someone's house, right? To walk into Eshat Torah and to meet Rav Noach Weinberg of blessed memory, to meet people, have a chance to be exposed to the Torah world. So one of the people tells a story that he went to the Kotel and he offered what he later coined the atheist's prayer. What is the atheist's prayer? God, I feel like I'm talking to a wall. He was at the Kotel. I feel like I'm talking to a wall over here, and I don't really know if you're there. Actually, I don't think you're there. If you're there, I don't think you're listening, or you really care about me. But if you are there, and you are listening, and you do care, then please send me a sign. And just as he said that, Meir Schuster tapped him on the shoulder. And he jumped about 10 feet high, and he turned around and said, "Yes?" And he said, "Would you like to find out about your Judaism?" So that was his sign. I ended up going to go. Yeah, true story. Wow. Yeah. But we often feel, okay, if that would happen to me, I'm in. If I would see the plagues, if I would have a chance to meet Moses, nice to meet you, right? Then I'm in. Right? But I don't have all of that. So, Amy, we do have signs at times, right? If we open our eyes, right? Excuse me, but the point that I like to bring is everyone has their challenges. This is the generation that left Egypt. I mean, plagues, splitting of the sea, Mount Sinai, and then 49 days later, we're at 49 plus 40, right? We're there at a golden calf. Now, the golden calf, was it idolatry? It wasn't idolatry. It certainly didn't start off as idolatry. It was idolatry then when Moshe came down, right? Why did they agree to have, right? They wanted, the way most commentaries explain it, they wanted an intermediary. They thought Moshe was gone. They had built their whole system on Moshe being, good morning, Carol, being the intermediary between them and God, and Moshe's gone. Now what do we do? So in effect, they wanted to build something that would serve as an intermediary, whatever it is. But what I take from there is everyone has their challenges. For them, with all that they experienced, they still ran into a golden calf. And as I often say, it's easy for me to pass someone else's test. Everyone else's challenges in life are easy. Mine, oh, that's something else. Right? So we need to realize that everyone has their challenges. No matter when we were born, no matter what our environment, no matter what our situation, everyone has their challenges. And the Chet HaEgel shows that even with all the miracles that they saw, they still had their challenge, and it was a failed. And they failed this challenge in a very, very serious way. They wanted, the way that some explain, like I said before, Ramban says they wanted an intermediary, right? But
What do you mean they failed?
they worshipped, they danced around this golden calf.
Oh, okay.
Right? That was a failure. That was a
This was orchestrated by Aaron.
yeah.
So he was the leader of all this.
Well, I wouldn't say it was orchestrated by Aaron. In other words, they came to Aaron. Now, there were two leaders. There's Aaron and Hor. And Hor stood up against them, and they murdered Hor. Okay? Aaron saw that, and Aaron was taken to task for this. We're not giving Aaron a free pass. But Aaron, and Moshe takes him to task, but Aaron saw that standing up against them is not going to stop, so Aaron tried to delay the process. Right? Chag LaHashem machar, he said. Tomorrow it'll be a chag, a celebration for Hashem. Right? And first of all, tomorrow, and second of all, a chag LaHashem, trying to bring God back into the picture, God back into the consciousness, right? So Aaron is taken for that, and that's why by the Mishkan, when it's being dedicated, Aaron was embarrassed, was afraid to come. Dov, it's distracting. During the Gemara class, it's okay. No, don't leave. The talking is distracting.
I'm not trying to.
I asked the question.
Okay, but I'm saying the talking in a larger group is distracting. So Aaron was under tremendous pressure, and he made a mistake. He made a mistake. Yeah, right? But it wasn't, I wouldn't say Aaron orchestrated it, right? Aaron said, give me the jewelry. Usually, let's try this. Everybody give me all your jewelry. Exactly. That's what Aaron was hoping would happen. Right? But in fact, they all gave over the jewelry quickly. Right? Chag LaHashem machar. Right? Tomorrow. Yeah. So I wouldn't say orchestrated it, but this was a point that well, let's take a look over here, page 494. Vaydaber, page 494, pasuk vav. Pasuk Zayin. Okay, let's take Hebrew. Zayin Chet Tet Yud. First in Hebrew, then we'll take it in English. Right, 7, 8, 9, 10. So in Hebrew first.
וידבר אדוני משה, לך רד, כי שיחת עמך אשר העלית מארץ מצרים. סרו מהר מן הדרך אשר ציוויתם, עשו להם עגל מסכה, והשתחוו לו, ויזבחו לו, ויאמרו אלה אלוהיך ישראל, אשר העלוך מארץ מצרים. עוד?
כן, עוד שתיים.
ויאמר אדוני אל משה, ראיתי את העם הזה, והנה עם קשה עורף הוא. ואתה הניחה לי, ויחר אפי בהם, ואכלם, ואעשה אותך לגוי גדול.
Beautiful. In English, please. 7, 8, 9, 10.
Hashem spoke to Moses, go descend, for your people that you brought up from the land of Egypt has become corrupt.
Now let's pause for a second. Go descend. So first of all, a point that Rashi brings from the Medrash is you're at this high point because you're the leader of the people. Right? That's what gives you this stature. If they've sunken, you've also sunken down. Therefore, go descend. But one second, for your people that you brought up from the land of Egypt has become corrupt. Now, that seems very strange. Right back in the Garden of Eden, right? What does Adam say when God says to him, "Why did you eat?" What does he say? Ha'isha asher natata, right? The wife that you gave me.
It's her.
It's her. It's her. She did it. Right? Right? And is God doing the same thing over here? Your people that you brought up from the land of Egypt has become corrupt? It's Moshe's people that Moshe brought up from the land of Egypt? Right? Clearly God is not pulling it's your fault. Right? So the commentators explain that the impetus of this Chet HaEgel, the sin of the golden calf, came from what was called the Erev Rav, the mixed multitude, that Moshe had brought, not the Jewish people who came out, the multitude who had come up out of Mitzrayim, that Moshe had brought along. Continue. 8, they have strayed quickly.
They have strayed quickly from the way that I have commanded.
Commanded them. 497.
Commanded them. They have made themselves a molten calf, prostrated themselves to it, and sacrificed to it. And they said, "This is your God, O Israel, which brought you up from the land of Egypt." Okay. A couple of important points here. You see, in English it says your God. Ela Elohecha Yisrael. Right? The term Elohim means powers. Okay? Powers. Elohim. That's why judges are referred to as Elohim. Right? They have the power. Right? That's why idolatry, meaning the sun, the ocean, the mountains, right? The forces of the world are referred to as Elohim Achirim. So they are trying to create this tangible form that will represent God and his power down over here. They don't say this is your God Israel that brought you out. Asher Hotzeti, right, which brought you out from Egypt. He'elucha is the one who brought you up. Meaning, right, God took us out from Mitzrayim. Moshe He'elucha. Moshe was the one through whom it happened. The idea was someone who would, something that would serve as the intermediary, but then it devolved. Let's continue. 9. Hashem said to Moses. Hashem said to Moses, I have seen this people, and behold, it is a stiff-necked people.
And now?
And now desist from me. Let my anger flare up against them, and I shall annihilate them, and I shall make you a great nation. Okay, so I'll wipe them out. And don't worry, the promises that were made to the patriarchs, that will come about through you. Through you, Moshe. I'll make you into a great nation. So Moshe is faced with this impossible situation. God tells him to go down. Lech raid, verse 7, go descend. And then he says to him, leave me be. Meaning as soon as you leave me be, what's going to happen? My anger will flare up, I will destroy them.
but I'll make you into a great nation. So Moshe's stuck. What does he do? What does he do? God's telling him to go down. He can't go down, God will destroy them. But what could he possibly do on their behalf? What could he speak? How could he advocate on their behalf while what's going on down at the foot of the mountain is still going on? Now I got to get them to stop before I can advocate for them. But I can't leave and God will destroy me, destroy them. So Moshe is in this bind over here. But God said to him some key words. Verse 10, Ata hinicha mi. Right? Literally, right, in English it says, desist from me. Right? Hanichali means leave me, let me. Let me. And my anger will flare, I'll destroy them, make into a great nation. So Moshe understood. Hanichali. Rashi says, Adayin lo shamanu shepalel Moshe aleim. We haven't yet heard that Moshe prayed on their behalf, yet God say, V'hu omer hanichali. Leave me be. Elakan patach lo petach. Here, God was opening up an avenue for Moshe. V'hodio, and let him know, she'adavar talui bo. The matter is hinging, is dependent upon him. She'im yitpalel aleihem, if he will daven on their behalf, lo yichalem, he will not destroy them. Right? Leave me alone, and I'll do it. So Moshe understands, because he's saying, leave me alone, meaning if I don't leave you alone, there's something that I can do. But what is it that Moshe can do? Again, how can he pray on their behalf, right, when they're still actively engaged in this down below? So Moshe says something that is astounding and fantastic. Pasuk Yud Aleph 11. Vayichal Moshe et Pnei Hashem Elokav. Moshe pleaded. He got that opening. He took it. He pleaded before Hashem, his God. Vayomer, and he said, Lama Hashem yechere apecha ba'amecha. Why, Hashem, should your anger flare up against your people? Asher hotzeita, that you took them out, may Eretz Mitzrayim, from the land of Egypt, b'koach gadol, with great power, uviyad chazakah, in a strong hand. Ah, wonderful. Is that convincing? Does that carry the day? That's the worst thing you could say. Right? You know, as they're worshiping idols, why should you get angry? Right? Just calm down. Right? Right? Just, what was Nancy Reagan's? Just say no. Well, it's not so easy. A person has an addiction. Right? Just say no isn't necessarily just so easy. I think Rabbi Dr. Twersky, who ran, or still runs, I'm not sure, addiction clinics in Pittsburgh, right? He said that's like saying, how do you cure the homeless problem? Just buy homes. Okay, very good. Just buy homes, but where do you get the money? Right? How do we get there? Right? Just say no. Right? So, right? Why she be so angry? What? Just don't be angry. Right? And throwing more fire into the more fuel into the fire. Why should you be angry with your nation that you took out of the land of Egypt with great power? And right? That's just adding fuel to the fire. So Rabbi David Foreman explains it so beautifully. In Hebrew, there are two words for why. What are the two words for why? Lama and madua. Right? In English, we translate them both as why. But in Hebrew, right, there's never going to be the same exact meaning for two words. Let's look at them. Lama, the first letter is L. What does L mean? Two. The first letter of Madua is Mem, Na, or Ne, which means from.
M-A is, what did you say that is?
When it's a Mem with two dots, it's May,
Uh-huh.
that means from. Lama is Le Ma. Let's take Madua first. What's the root? May and Dalid Ayin, Dalid Vav Ayin, the root of that is Da, knowledge. Okay? Now, there are two different whys that a person could ask. Right? There is the past, and there is the future. Madua is Meida, from my knowledge. Right? Moshe did not say, Madua, why are you angry? That's very obvious why God is angry. Very obvious why God is angry. Look what's happening right now as we're talking. We're talking at the top of the mountain. Look what's happening at the bottom of the mountain. Right? All heck is broken loose. Right? 40 days after the Sinai experience, they're prancing around this idol, this golden calf. But Lama is a different question. Lama is Le Ma. What's it going to lead to? Where will your anger take you? So not why, Madua, past, are you angry? Lema, I clearly understand why you're angry. But lema, where's it going to lead to? And this is a question very often parents, right, when they're deciding how to discipline, right? So it's clear why they're upset. But how do we move forward? What is the repercussion of my reaction? What is my reaction going to cause? And then let me judiciously view, calibrate how I want to respond. So now with that in mind, let's look at what Moshe says. Lama Hashem yecharabcha b'mecha. Not why, but to what? That's a why of the future. Will you get angry with your nation that you took them out of Mitzrayim, showing great strength and a powerful hand? Lama yomru Mitzrayim le'mor. What will it lead to? What will the Egyptians say? Bira'ah hotziam. With evil intent. He took them out. La rogotam be'arim, to kill them in the mountains. Ulchalotam, and to destroy them from the face of the earth. Meaning, you're in on this, God. Your name is connected, is tied to theirs. What happens to them is a reflection on you. All of a sudden, what he said in the first pasuk, first verse, that you took them out of Mitzrayim with great strength. Therefore, how is this going to reflect on you? The whole Yitziat Mitzrayim we discussed before, if God wanted to simply take us out of Egypt, snap your fingers. We're out of Egypt. Send flying carpets. Get us out of Egypt. Right? Immobilize the Egyptians as the 8th plague of darkness did immobilize them, and let us all walk out. Why was this whole process of 10 plagues? In order labriut, in order that the world would know, the Egyptians would know, and the worlds would know. Shamu amim yirgazun, the nations heard, they trembled. In order that your name will be made would be spread in this world, that people will recognize you, which gives purpose to creation, purpose to life. That's why you used your strong hand and your koach gadol and great strength to take them out of Egypt. And now you are tied to us, to the nation. And they all get destroyed. They're going to say, he can handle Egypt. He couldn't handle the kings of Canaan. Right? It's going to work against you. Lama, towards what? Zechor. Shuv mechor napech v'nechem al ha'ra la'amecha. Come back from your anger, right? And relent, reconsider what you spoke about doing to your nation. Zechor, remember Avram, Abraham, Yitzchak, Isaac, Yisrael, Israel, Avadecha, your servants, Asher nishbata lehem bach, that you swore to them by you. And you said, our beds, arachem, I will increase your seed like the stars of the heaven. That's not going to look all that good if me, my wife, and my 2 kids walk in. Right? That's not exactly what was spoken about to the patriarchs. V'chol ha'aretz hazot. And all this land, Asher amarti tin zarachem v'nachalu la'olam, v'yinachem Hashem. And God then came back. Moved back from Al Hara'ah Asher Diber La'asot La'amo, from that which he wanted to do to his people. That was the Yeshua. That's how Moshe stepped forward and saved, as he had done and continues to do many times, saved the Jewish people. I'll just add another point, and then we'll go do a little bit of the Megillah, which connects to this. Aaron's death was a death that Moshe envied. Aaron's death, he ascended the mountain with his sons. And the garments of kahuna were passed from Aaron on to his children,
Why would
his
Moshe
sons.
be envious of his
That's here. Right? So he got to see, Aaron was able to see the mantle, that which he had lived for, being passed on to his children, to the next generation that would carry that on. Moshe's children did not take over after Moshe. Joshua took over. We don't hear much about Moshe's children. On the contrary, in Navi, there's an episode there that it was Moshe's children, I forget his child or grandchild, who was involved in some idolatrous stuff going on. Moshe did not have the nachas, the pride and pleasure that Aaron had from his children. That's why he was envious of Aharon. And here Moshe had the chance to lock in that his children would be the continuity. That's what God offered him. I'll destroy them, and the nation will be built from you. Which guarantees, locks in, that Moshe's children will be the ones who will carry the torch of leadership of the children of Israel. So the amount of personal impartiality that Moshe had here is incredible. But Moshe was a man of the klal. And his focus was not on his own personal. He was the Am. He was the nation. And therefore, putting aside all personal aspects, he puts his life on the line for the children of Israel. Right? to the point where, so God stepped back from the absolute destruction, but there still were going to be, and there still are, repercussions. Right? But Moshe was the one who stepped forward for the Am. Let's go, the back of our Chumashim, we have Megillat Esther. Okay, we have the book of Esther. It's starts on page 1252 is where it begins. And there is so much that goes on in this Megillah. 1252. No, 52, I believe. Unless. Oh, some have it 12. That's the end.
That's the end.
Yeah. There we go. Yeah. 1252. So we know the story. We know how, as opposed to, we mentioned before how every generation has its challenges. So even that generation of the Exodus and of Sinai, they're referred to as Dor